the more what I'm made up. Strut down the hall, won't stop till I get enough.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're revisiting a really dramatic Champions League night. Aston Villa versus PSG, that quarterfinal second leg.
That's right.
We've got the BBC Sport report you sent over. And what we really want to dig into is, what made it so compelling? The momentum swings, the tactics, those big individual moments, even though Villa ultimately went out on aggregate.
Exactly. And that report, it really sets the scene well. Villa Park, the atmosphere. They're already 3-1 down from the first leg.
Yeah, a tough starting point.
And then PSG, well, they come out flying in the second leg, really stamping their authority early on.
They absolutely did. That first, half hour? The report makes it sound like it was all Paris Saint-Germain. Hakimi scores 11th minute.
Yep.
And the report does flag it as maybe an error from Emiliano Martinez, which is tough because we know he made some big saves later.
Yeah, it's that double-edged sword for keepers, isn't it? An early mistake is so visible. But yeah, the report does credit his later saves, too. It wasn't long after that first one, though.
No, 27th minute, Nuno Mendes makes it 2-0 to PSG on the night.
And Dembélé, with the assists, the report mentions he was a real live wire for them in the competition.
So at that point, it's grim for Villa. They need 4 goals just to get to extra time.
It felt like game over, honestly, a mountain to climb against that quality.
It really did. Most teams, you'd think, might just fold. 2 down at home, first half hour. But this is where, according to the report, Villa Park really came alive. It uses the word thunderous.
Mm-hmm.
And you just get the impression the players started feeding off that. Like, okay, we're not done yet.
That's Villa Park for you, though. That resilience, especially on European nights, it's something else. And you saw the spark, didn't you? Yuri Tielemans' goal, 34th minute.
Yeah, it took a deflection, but...
Hey, you take them. McGinn set it up.
Yeah.
And, it's funny how one goal, even a slightly fortunate one, can just completely change the feeling.
It reignited the belief, didn't it? You could almost feel it reading the description.
Absolutely. Both in the stands and, you suspect, on the pitch.
Then the second half starts. And the report calls it pure theater.
Uh-huh.
And wow, did it deliver.
It really...
10 minutes and 55th minute, John McGinn.
Yeah.
Player of the match, by the way. BBC users gave him an 8.04 rating, which is fantastic.
Deservedly so.
Cracking shot from 20 yards, Pau Torres assist. Suddenly it's 2-1 on the night.
McGinn was immense. The report mentions his energy, tackling, driving forward. He was just all over the place. Proper captor's performance.
And then... barely time to breathe. 2 minutes later, 57th minute. Villa lead.
Unbelievable.
Ezri Konsa gets it. Marcus Rashford with the assist.
2 goals in 2 minutes. To go from needing 4 to being ahead on the night. That's Ray the Rover stuff, like you said before. Just incredible momentum.
Villa Park must have just erupted. Completely erupted. Suddenly it's 4-4 on aggregate. The dream is alive.
Absolutely electric, you'd imagine. Hope flooding back.
But, and there's always a but in these games, the story pivots. The report really shifts focus onto one man, Gianluigi Donnarumma, and the PSG goal.
Yeah, he really stepped up, didn't he? Became PSG's hero, as the report puts it. It highlights 3 massive saves when Villa were just throwing the kitchen sink at them, looking for that aggregate winner.
Right. Tell us about them.
Well, first, there was that Rashford shot. A rising drive looked destined for the top corner. Donnarumma somehow gets across, dives full stretch to his left, palms it away.
Incredible athleticism.
The report even says he was like shouting and punching the air after the ball went over. Tells you how much pressure he felt, how big that moment was.
Wow. Okay, what else?
Then Tielemans again, this time with a header. Looked a certain goal, but Donnarumma claws it away. The report calls that save almost as good as the Rashford one.
Just refusing to be beaten.
Exactly. And then maybe the final big chance, Marco Asensio finds himself one-on-one.
Oh, Asensio, on loan from PSG. The narrative.
I know, but Donnarumma comes out, stays big, blocks it at his feet. Just crucial interventions, one after the other. He's the reason, ultimately, that Villa didn't pull off that historic comeback.
Absolutely earned that hero tag. Yeah. Okay, let's dig into some of those individual performances a bit more. Using those BBC Sport user ratings, the report includes McGinn, we mentioned, 8.04, man of the match, goal assist. Just pure energy.
Yeah, and he got that yellow card just before halftime, too, didn't he?
He did, yeah. Worth noting.
But it didn't seem to slow him down much in the second half. He just kept going.
Then Tielemans, 7.74 rating, got that crucial first goal back for Villa. And the report gives some great season stats for him in the Champions League.
Oh, yeah. Leading Villa in passes, like over 500 completed.
534, yeah. And loads of line-breaking passes, recoveries, tackles. Just a massive presence in midfield all campaign.
Really underlines his importance.
Rashford, 7.56 rating. Didn't score, but got that key assist for Konsa and, forced that wonder save from Donnarumma. A goal there. Different story, maybe.
Could well have been. And Konsa himself, 7.41 rating, popped up with the goal that gave them the lead on the night. Huge moment for him.
On the PSG side, Donnarumma's 7.4 rating reflects those crucial saves. And even Martinez for Villa, despite that early mistake.
Yeah.
He got a 6.62. Suggests he wasn't just defined by that error, made other contributions.
For sure. Goalkeeping's tough. One slip gets magnified, but that rating suggests, a more rounded performance overall.
Okay, let's talk tactics and numbers quickly. Villa set up in a 4-2-3-1.
Yep. Martinez, Cash, Konsa, Torres, Digne, Kamara, Onana, Rogers, Tielemans, McGinn, and Rashford up top.
And PSG?
A 4-3-3, Donnarumma, Hakimi, Marquinhos, Pacho, Mendes, João Neves, Vitinha, Fabian Ruiz, then Kvaratskhelia, Dembele, and Barcola as the front three.
Standard shapes for both, really. Now, the stats are interesting. PSG, as you'd expect, dominated the ball, over 65% possession?
65.6%, compared to Villa's 34.4%.
But Villa actually had more shots, 17-14.
Yeah.
And more on target 9 versus 7.
Which is fascinating, right? Suggests Villa were maybe more direct, more efficient when they did get forward, especially in that second half surge. Less possession, but maybe more punch.
Could be. And both keepers making 5 saves apiece.
Yeah.
It just shows it was end-to-end stuff, lots of action in both boxes.
Definitely wasn't dull.
Also, Villa committed way more fouls, 15 to PSG's 3. Maybe showing that aggressive press, trying to win it back high.
Or just the intensity of trying to get back into the tie, perhaps, disrupting PSG's rhythm.
Could be both. The advanced stats, like XG, expected goals, they were actually pretty close. Villa 2.26, PSG 1.7.
So despite less ball, Villa created chances that were statistically just as good, if not slightly better on average.
Yeah, quality over quantity, perhaps. In final third passes, Villa had 72 successful ones. PSG 92, which fits the possession pattern. Tackles were pretty even. 22 Villa, 24 PSG.
Suggests a real battle in the middle of the park.
So zooming out a bit, this whole Champions League run, even ending here, it feels like a big positive for Villa, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And the report mentions Unai Emery's fantastic home record in Europe, only lost 1 in 13 at Villa Park since the start of last season.
It's immense. Villa Park's become a real fortress under him in these competitions.
It really has. Shows his tactical strength at home.
And for PSG, well, they got through, but the report does touch on their history. Sometimes struggling to see out knockout ties, even after winning the first leg.
Yeah, they've had some collapses in the past. Villa definitely gave him a huge scare here, maybe poked at some of those old vulnerabilities.
There was also a mention of PSG's high turnovers leading to shots against them this season.
Yeah, it suggests maybe they can be a bit loose in possession sometimes, which teams can exploit. Although the report also singles out João Neves for PSG.
Yes. His pressing and tackling numbers are apparently exceptional. Key player for them defensively in midfield.
Definitely. And for Villa, young Morgan Rogers gets a shout out in the report. Impressive goal involvements for a young English player in the Champions League this season.
Good sign for the future there.
Yeah.
So PSG march on. Potential semifinal against Arsenal or Real Madrid.
Ooh, either of those would be massive. Proper heavyweight clash.
Indeed. And one final detail the report mentioned, Prince William was there with his son.
Ah, yes. Adds a bit of extra profile to an already significant night for Villa, doesn't it?
Definitely. So wrapping this up, our dive into that BBC report really paints a picture of, well, a heroic failure for Aston Villa, maybe.
Yeah.
A brilliant comeback that just fell agonizingly short.
Yeah, valiant is the word. Donnarumma's brilliance was ultimately the difference. You've got Villa's amazing fight against PSG just about scraping through.
And hopefully for everyone listening, this gives a much richer feel for the game. The key moments, the tactics, the standout players, the sheer drama of it all. It was far more than just a 3-2 Villa win on the night.
Absolutely. A real roller coaster and a great example of what makes the Champions League so special.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. Thinking about those stats, Villa having more shots on target, the XG being so close, and just the sheer momentum they built, you can't help but wonder, can you? What if one tiny thing had gone differently? A slightly different bounce, Donnarumma, a split second slower, a different refereeing call. How close were Villa, really? And what does this one intense game tell us about resilience, about individual moments of genius under pressure, and about those incredibly fine lines between success and, well, glorious failure at football's highest level?
Sound the alarm. I'm coming up. We'll have the ball. I'm sweet like a butter. buttercup. You're Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till I get enough.